Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. So, here we are for the lesson number 2 of the week, and the week number is 3. My dear students, in the last lesson, we have talked about the ideas discussed in the poem. We talked about the setting of the poem, we talked about how the words of the poem related to the real life application. Uh, and what is the balance between imagination and real life existence. My dear students, today our topic would be same stopping by woods on a snowy evening, but under this topic we are going to talk about exercise. We are going to work on the exercise. There are some concepts which need to be enlightened, which need to be discussed with you, and there are some points that are important if we can talk about in terms of examination. So, if we can talk about the objectives of the lesson today, we have five particular objective of the lesson. At the end of this lesson, my students will be able to interpret the use of imagery and what are the kinds of its types, the types of imagery. And the second one would be to my students will be able to paraphrase stanzas of the poem. I'll tell you where I have attached the paraphrasing of the stanzas and what you need to do with the stanzas. And the next one would be to figure out key questions on stanzas. I mean, this question has a significant part in your board examination. So we are going to talk about comprehension questions of the poem as well. They are also called comprehension questions of stanzas. And after that, we're going to talk about difference between adjective and adverb phrase. And the last would be to test our knowledge of grammar. So without wasting much time, I would like to move forward to the imagery. My dear students, imagery can be explained in terms of human capacity. Uh, every human is born up with special quality that Allah has bestowed us, and that is inborn. We can imagine anything that happened in the past and that is going to happen in the future. So that is the quality of human. So imagery is a human potential. By closing the eyes or with open eyes, he can imagine the past events or upcoming events. So there are different types of imagery. The first type is called visual imagery. Visual imagery. Now, my dear students, for that to understand to understand this concept of visual imagery, I would like to ask you to remember your last day at school. I mean, before this coronavirus outbreak. Do you remember where were you sitting and what were you doing in the class? What was happening in the class? For that, you need to close your eyes and think about what you were doing um, at the end of the day or in the middle part of the day. So, if you can visualize the memories of your last day before COVID 19, this is called visual imagery. I'll tell you how this question appears in the exam, but before that, I want you to understand this concept wholly solely. So, visual imagery is visualizing the events of the past and future. So, this is all about um, visual imagery. If you can move forward, there are another type of imageries, the auditory imagery. You can even think about the sounds as well. You must have heard the sound of um, the thunderstorm. For that, I would request you to close your eyes and think about the sound of the thunderstorm. I hope it would be a sound like this. Yes. So I hope this sound has been heard by your brain, although it is not happening right now, but you can relate it, but you can memorize it, but you can recap the sound of anything. So that is called auditory imagery. So if we can move forward, my dear students, there are some other types of imagery as well. Um, they can be called smell imagery, taste imagery, image related to touch as well. My dear students, you are familiar with this dish, biryani. So we can, if we can close our eyes and can memorize and can recall the smell of biryani when it is being prepared by your mother, so you can easily memorize, you can easily recall the smell of biryani if you like it, if it is your favorite food. So if you can move forward, the taste must be, I'm right now having the taste of biryani since I speak this word biryani. So this is imagery related to taste. Touch as well, I can touch the rice used in biryani, so I can also feel the touch of those rice used in the biryani when I last ate biryani. So this is imageries. Now, my dear students, I'll tell you how it appears in the exam. For example, a question was appeared in the exam last year where he asked about the type of imagery in the sentence. So if the examiner gives you a type of imagery and asks you to pick the correct answer from all these five types of imagery, you need to take the right one after understanding the types of imagery. I hope everything is clear to you right now. If you can move forward, our next topic would be comprehension questions. My dear students, comprehension questions are given in the exams and it has significant value. It has 6 marks in board examination. A stanza is given to you and the 3 questions will be asked from you on that particular stanza. So I have tried my level best to write all the possible questions on this slideshow, on this video. Also, I will attach it to the assignment folder of your lesson number 2. So if you can talk about possible questions of the poem, the first question could be, who is the speaker of the poem? Obviously we do not know the writer or the poet himself is the speaker or someone else, or we do not know it's his or her characteristics. So we can say the speaker of Sopping by Woods on Snowy Evening is anonymous. We cannot relate it to either he or she. So this is anonymous writer poem, speaker's poem. And if we can move forward then to the next question, what hidden meanings do following words convey to us? Words house, horse, harness, bell, downy flake. So these are the words used in the poem and it has meanings according to the context. If we can talk about its denotation meanings, yes, they have, but they also have connotative meanings as well according to the context, according to the situation of the poem. So woods mean beauty in the poem, and house means residence, safety, horse means companion, harness means hand, and wake up you can say. Downy flake means beauty, and stoppage as well, slow going as well. Downy flake means loose shape of snow. So snow symbolizes to slow going, to stoppage of something. So in the poem it also reflects the slow going in the forest. So this question can be handled like this. If you can move forward to next question, note the alliteration. This question can be appeared in your stanza based questions. Note the alliteration. It could be any stanza from this poem or from the previous poem, Daffodils. So what is alliteration? If two sounds in a sentence, in a phrase, or you can say in the verse of the poem, to be similar, if they are similar, they can be called alliteration. For example, watch his verb. So watch and verb is a similar sound. There is a her sound, h sound as well, in the middle of these two w sounds. But uh, if there is only one sound between two similar sounds, it can be called as alliteration. So watch his wood in the first stanza of poem number 2, that is stopping by the woods on snowy evening, that is using the first stanza, it can be called as a alliteration. Sound sweep. So sir sound and sir sound of both the sounds are similar, so they can be called as alliteration as well. It is used in the third stanza. His house, so both sounds are of h sound, so her sound has been used, so this can also be called as a alliteration. So if there is a stanza in front of you, you need to see the words that are having similar sounds right after one another. And if there is one another sound, it can also be called as alliteration. If there are more than two sounds in between them, watch his eternal words, then it cannot be called as alliteration. If there is one sound between these two w sounds, it can be called as a alliteration. If we can move forward, why does the speaker stop on darkest evening of the year? Why? Because he wants to enjoy the beauty of nature and the darkest evening of the year. But soon he realizes that he or she has to move on to fulfill his worldly affairs. Why does the horse impatiently await the next move of his master? Um, since I have told you in the previous lesson that the horse was curious about the step of his master, that why that the speaker stop without a farmhouse nearby. So the horse observes that there is no farmhouse nearby. He will be in problem if they stay there. That is why the horse impatiently awaits for the next move. The speaker in the poem is captivated by the beauty of the nature. Why doesn't he stop long to enjoy nature's beauty? This question has been appeared many times in your paper, so you need to understand this question as well. Because since she realizes that there must be a balance between world of imagination and the real world, and he cannot stop, or he or she cannot stop there, she has to go, or he has to go. Although he was captivated by the beauty, yet he knows he has to move on to fulfill his worldly affairs. The spelling of beauty is incorrect over here. R is unnecessary over here. You have to write the correct one over here as well. Write the rhyming words of stanza. We have discussed it in the previous lesson as well, but for the sake of this question, first stanza have no, though, snow. Second stanza has queer, near, ear as rhyming words. Third stanza have shake, mistake, and flake. Fourth stanza has deep, keep, and sleep as their rhyming words. Write the meaning of underlined words. This has been mentioned in your glossary list. You have to see the meanings of this particular word. So this is it from the comprehension questions. If we can move forward to the next part, that is phrases. If you can look at your book, let me see the book on page number 86. There are two types of phrases being mentioned over here: adjective phrase and adverb phrase. My dear students, if we talk about phrase level study, it is called syntax. It's a scholarly level study, but we are not going to talk about it deeply. I just tell you some of the basic and fundamental principles of the phrases. In English language or in any other language, there are basically two types of phrases. As in this sentence, the children put the toy in the box. So this is noun phrase and this is verb phrase. Noun phrase and verb phrase combine together to make a sentence. So basically, there are two types of phrases: noun phrase and verb phrase. Under these phrases, noun phrases and verb phrases, there are multiple types of phrases. To make your game easy, And for the understanding of this concept, how it appears in the exam, the writer gives you a type of question like this: he wrote a turban made of silk, and then he will ask you write or pick the suitable option. Either it's an adjective phrase, adverb phrase, noun phrase, or verb phrase. So you have to take the right answer. So to understand what is adjective phrase and what is adverb phrase, there is simple phenomenology of it, the simple logic of it. If he wrote a turban made of silk, now made of silk is reflecting what? Turban. It is telling made of silk, it is telling the characteristic of turban. So this is adjective type of thing. Its function is adjective. So you have to see the function of the underlined phrase in the exam. If the underlined phrase in the exam is functioning as adjective, you have to write this adjective phrase. If it is working as an adverb, what is adverb? It modifies the verb. So the pigeon flies. Flies is a verb. Swiftly. How it flies? Swiftly. So this swiftly is underlined by the examiner in future. So he will ask you what type of phrase it is. You have to write this is, since this is swiftly is modifying the verb, so this is called adverb. So, since this is adverb and underlined part of the phrase is adverb, so this would be adverb phrase. So for the sake of current issue and current exercise, you need to do is he wore a turban made of silk. You need to write adjective phrase in front of him. He is a man without a friend. You have to write adjective. So you need to know about the difference between adjective and adverb phrase. Can be appeared in your exam. There are other types of phrases as well: gerund phrase, infinitive phrase, participle phrase. So you need to see the function of the underlined phrase. If it is functioning as adjective, if it is functioning as adverb, if it is working as gerund, it will be according to their function. Adjective phrase would be functioning as an adjective. Adverb phrase should have an adverb with it, and it is functioning as an adverb. For your ease, you need to see the type of parts of speech. Now, turban made of silk, or man without a friend is telling about whom? Man. So a function of adjective is to modify the noun, is to describe the noun. So man is a noun, and without a friend is describing this man. So this is adjective. Since this is adjective, this would be called as an adjective phrase. I hope it is clear to you. If we can move forward to review from unit number 5 to 8, this is important. You need to know the answer, possible answers. Now, there is question: choose the correct options. Branches of the tree were covered with blanket of snow. Now, I would like you to answer this question within 5 seconds. I hope the answer would be personification. This option number B. If you can move forward, keep up your morale. Morale means fortitude, so option number B is correct. We can move forwards. The floors are covered with carpet. The underlined word is an antonym of, antonym means opposite meaning. I'll give you 5 seconds to think about the answer, and then I'll tell you the answer. Option number B is correct. I hope that you take the right answer. The little birds are piping yet. The underlined word is synonym of. I'll also give you 5 seconds for this question as well. Yes, option number A is correct. And now we are moving forward to the grammar part. The police dispersed the crowd. The underlined word is an, is, a, or an. There are options. The correct options is collective noun. The dog sat dash his master, beside his master, across his master, along his master, or over his master. So option number A is correct. Wait before I return, wait if I return, wait unless I return, wait till I return. So option number D is correct. I heard a noise coming from the moon. I heard a voice coming from the moon. So option number B is correct. He said very loudly. The underlined word is an adverb of manner, frequency, degree, or time. If it was like he spoke loudly, so it would be adverb of frequency. Since there is a word very is also an adverb. So adverb is modifying another adverb. So this is called adverb of degree. If an adverb modifies another type of adverb in the sentence, both will be called as an adverb of degree. So this is adverb of degree. Option number C is correct. If we can move forward, we watched him go. The underlined word is and dash. Past participle, present participle, gerund, or infinitive. Option number B is correct. I'm sorry, option number D is correct. Gerund must have an ing form as well as present participle. So this is option number D is correct. He is fond of cooking. So this would be gerund. Since this is ing form of the verb, but it is functioning as a noun. So it's an habit, or it's a way of doing. So it is called noun. So since it is a verb and is functioning as a noun, so it will be called as a gerund. If you had studied hard, you dash succeeds. This is third conditional sentence. First, if clause should have past perfect tense, and the second clause must have modal verb plus have and plus third form of the verb. So would have would be the correct answer. So option number D is correct. The shoe is pressing on my toy. The underlined phrase is an dash. Now you have to see the underlined part of the phrase. Now it is starting from a preposition, so this would be a preposition phrase. You have to see the underlined part of the phrase. This is a phrase. It is starting from a preposition, so it will be called as a preposition phrase. Which of the following is an appropriate sentence? We are tired usually by the end of the day. We are tired by usually the end of the day. We are usually tired by the end of the day. We are tired by the end of the day usually. So option number C is correct. You can place adverbs with the main verb, since they are the words which modify verbs, so they can be put together with verbs. So this is adverb usually, and it can be put with the verb. So I hope everything is clear to you, and my part is done. I have attached paraphrasing of the stanzas of chapter number 8, stopping by words on a snowy evening, with assignment. What you need to do, my dear students, since we cannot check you what you are doing, are you studying, are you remembering, are you cramming the answer questions or paraphrasing, this is not your own duty. Under such abnormal circumstances, my dear students, I hope that you are doing well at your home and you are preparing your questions for the final examination. At the end, I would say goodbye and wish you very and best of luck for the future.